What's going on, everybody? I'm just back out here in the garage. I got the racing stand that I need to lift up the front of the bike to be able to get the front tire off the ground so I can take out the forks. So it took me a little while to get that, but I got it now. So I'll be able to start working on the bike again. For today's video, I think I'm going to focus on getting the front tire off, the front fairing off, and get the forks out. And obviously lift up the bike. That's the first step of this whole operation. Yeah, so I'm just gonna jump into that and we'll go from there. Alright, well here's the stand that I got. It's made by Pitbull. It's a really good quality stand. It's a nice looking thing. Definitely recommend one of these. So this is what I'm going to be using to lift up the front of the bike. It's got this pin here that is associated with the bike, and then that goes in right here. I don't know if you can see it. Yeah, it goes into that pin goes into the hole right there. And so every motorcycle has a little bit of a different size. So when you buy a stand, you have to make sure that you go to the chart and find the right size pin. Otherwise, it's not going to fit in the hole, and you won't be able to lift up the bike. So I'm just going to get the motorcycle stand in, and I'm going to lift the bike up and get the rear stand in as well. You have to use a rear stand in this stand in conjunction, because obviously the bike is kind of sitting on an angle, so you want the bike to be level so you can lift up the front of it, and it also makes the whole operation a lot more stable while you're wrenching on the bike. So yeah, so I'm just going to jump in and start getting the stand in, and then I'll start removing the front forks and the wheels and all the things that are associated with that. Alright, well I got the bike all lifted up now. Pretty simple process. The bike feels pretty stable with both stands there. I definitely feel comfortable working on it with these stands, and it's sitting there for a period of time without the forks in it. Hopefully I can push it back with both stands, because it's kind of coming out a little further in my garage than I'd like, but we'll come across that bridge when that happens. I think you can just kind of push it back, and it's got a little, I think it'll be fine. Not too sure though, but as I said, the bike's pretty stable. I don't think it's going anywhere. Yeah, so it's time to start getting on with getting everything taken out. So as I said, I'm going to take off the front fender. I'm hoping that I didn't have to do that before I put the stand on, but I think I got enough access to the screws and bolts that are holding that on. And then I'm going to get the brake calipers off as well, and I'm also got to get my fork diapers off here. That definitely needs to come off. They're drenched still. And then, yeah, so then I can start taking out the forks. It looks like to take the forks out, you obviously have to get all that other stuff off. I'm sure it probably all come off by itself anyway, like all together, but I think I'm going to take everything off first. It's my first time doing this, so I really don't know the exact processes to do it, but what I do know is that I have to remove these bolts here, and then there's one up here at the top that also needs to come off here, so I need to loosen those off, and I have to do that obviously on both sides. And then the forks just slide out. So yeah, I'm gonna start getting those out. To get the brake caliper off, it's mounted by a screw right here. And then there's, not a screw, but a bolt. There's another bolt here. Oh, here's the other screw for the fender. And then to get the front wheels off, I have to take off these pinch bolts here that pinch the bottom of the forks together. And then obviously there's an axle nut on the other side of the bike. Actually, I'm starting to look at this, and I don't know if I have the tool to get this out. I'm wondering what size. Interesting. Well, I might have to get another tool just to be able to get my front tire off. Maybe I'll have something in the shop, or not the shop, in the garage that'll work, and yeah, so we'll go from there. So yeah, just taking off the bolts for the calipers and these pinch bolts here, and then take the wheel out, and we'll go from there. Alright, well, so I was unable to get the front fender off. I got to take the front wheel off first, and I'm waiting to get tools for that. So once I get the tools, I'll be able to take the front tire off. But what I am able to get off is I can take off the brake caliper now. There's two bolts right here that are holding it on, and they are a 12mm socket. So we'll break those loose and get the brake calipers off for now. And then, as I said, I'll have to wait to get the other tools so I can take off the front wheel. The things you learn. second one, and this whole thing here should just slide backwards. And obviously watch your rims, and there we go, got that guy off. A little trick that I've seen before on videos is guys just take a pair, like some tie wire or coat hanger or something like that, or a strap, like a bungee cord, and just tie it up to something so keep it out of the way. And that way it's not dangling around and smacking into things. So yeah, so there's one off. It's obviously the same process on the other side, just 2 bolts here. As I said, there are 12 mil on this bike. So yeah, you just take those guys out and hang this guy up somewhere out of the way and move on with the build. All right, well, I got the tool that I needed to be able to take out my my front axle. It's a axle hex tool. I know that Motion Pro makes one of them. I'm not sure what brand this one is. It's just one that my buddy had, and I'm glad he had it because it's allowing me to keep moving forward with the project. Otherwise I would have had to order one off the internet, and that would have taken a little while to get. So yeah, it's just got 4 different sizes on it. It's got a 17 mil, 22 mil, 24 mil, and a 19 mil. For this bike, for the ZX6R 2001, it needs the 22 mil and the 17 mil to get the axle nut out. So if you're ever working on your bike and you need one of these, you can get it from Motion Pro or just do a Google search. So it's just an axle hex tool, and yeah, so that's what I need to get it out so I can keep moving forward. So that's awesome that he had that. All right, well, I came to some realizations about taking off the front fender. I got the rotors off. That was a pretty easy task, and I also got the tool that I need to be able to get the axle out. I didn't have that, but I have that now. And they were also really torqued on there, so off camera I just loosened them off with a breaker bar that I have, so we'll be able to get those off now. In order to get the front fender off, there's a couple screws that are on the outside, but there's also ones that are inside, so I need to be able to I need the front tire out first in order to do that. So now that I have the ability to get the front tire out, I can now get the front fender off. We can go from there. Alright, so to get the front wheel off, there's 2 pinch bolts on this side, and then there's also 2 pinch bolts on the other side, and then you have the axle right here. This side is like a nut, so you can keep that clamped in, and you can turn it out on this side that's all threaded. So that's got a threaded, that side's threaded, and then this side is the axle that goes all the way through the tire. So in order to get the front tire out, you just use the Motion Pro tool that you have, or whatever brand it is that you have, and you just use a regular wrench. Well, you can't use a regular wrench because the torque is bigger, so you'll need a breaker bar, or the torque is pretty high, so you'll need to use a breaker bar in order to get it loose. I used a breaker bar off camera. This is the one that I have. My friend brought over an adapter for me so I can go down to 3/8 or whatever it is. This is a 1/2 inch, and then the tool is a 3/8, I believe. So I needed an adapter to go down to a smaller size, but now that they're looser, I'm able to do that with just a regular wrench for the sake of making a video. So this side you want tight. You want to tighten down the pinch bolts at the bottom of the fork, and then on this side you want to loosen off the pinch bolts so that it can spin freely. So you just go like that. You get them out. You don't have to take them all the way out, and then we just loosen off the axle nut. The axle itself, I should say. Tools will spread all over the place. So just do that, and it comes loose, and it just starts rotating out. Definitely want to hold up the weight of the tire because you don't want that falling down. And always take a look at what's in there as you take it out. There's 2 spacers on each side of the tire on this bike. Alright. It's a little tricky to get out, but just kind of want to rotate it as if pulling. And the axle just slides out. And you can just drop the tire down. And these are little spacers that I was talking about. They got these little spacers on each side of the tire. They rest against the bearing in there and the side of the fork. Don't want to lose those because they're very important. And there's the tire off. Alright, now we can get the fender off. So that's I think to get the fender off, it's just 3 screws now actually. So you got one here, holding on at the bottom of the forks. And then you got 2 more screws up in here that have to come out. And by the looks of them, I think they're 12 mil again. Alright, 10 mil. And my 10 mil didn't run away on me, so that's a good sign. Loose. It's very dirty in here. I'm gonna have to do some cleaning before I put everything back together. Road grime and fork oil. There we go. There's the front fender off. Cool, we're getting somewhere. Alright, now that we got the front fender and wheel off, we can start working on getting the forks out. It seems like a pretty simple task as well. When I was looking off camera earlier too, I noticed that I also have to get the clamp for the bars off as well, which looks like it just held on with a couple screws. A couple bolts I should say. There's one here down at the bottom, and then there's one here that looks like it's screwed into the bottom of the upper triple tree clamp. And then in order to get the forks out, it looks like it's just 2 bolts right here, and then it looks like it's also just the 1 bolt right here that holds it into the top. So I'm going to loosen off all those, and I'm going to see if I can slide those forks out, and then that part of the project's done and I can send them in and get them fixed. Alright, so bolt sizes that I've come across here, these 2 that are here are a 12 mil socket. The one that's up here on the upper triple tree clamp, it is a number 6 hex, and the one for the bars is also a number 6 hex, and then there's another one that's right below here. It's a number 5 hex. So those are the wrenches or the sockets and hex keys that you're going to need. So yeah, just loosen these guys off. Okay, there's one fork out. Cool. I'm going to put them somewhere safe so you don't scratch them. And then just the same thing on the other side. Let's rotate it out. This one's coming out a little easier. Not sure why. Okay, there we go. Got the second one out too. Good stuff. Yeah, just put these off to the side somewhere. Could probably put a bungee cord on them too. I don't know. Whatever you feel like doing. Depends how much you care about scratching your bike. I guess this one's old, so I'm not really too concerned about it. But on a newer bike, I'd be a little more careful. Okay, well, we got the forks out, so that's pretty awesome. Now that I got the forks out, I'll be able to take them in and get the fork seals replaced. At the same time, I'm going to send in the wheels to get get new tires put on them. So yeah, so here's the bike without the forks on it. Quite the interesting project. It's been a learning experience for me for sure. You know, this is something that I've never done before. It's my first time doing it, so it's the whole step-by-step process was a little skewed in my mind, but now I kind of got an idea how to do it, so I'll know for the next time if I ever have to take my forks off my bike. Yeah, so it's I mean, I can't make a judgment on how long something like this would take somebody, you know, maybe a couple hours or whatever, especially if you're like experienced or a mechanic or know what you're doing. You know, I'm definitely not a mechanic, so I'm just a guy in my garage just learning how to wrench on my own bike. So yeah, so we got those off. And then in the next video, I think I might make a short little video about how to remove the rear tire, and you know, and then that's just it's a pretty simple process, but I can make a short little video about doing that and then reinstalling it, and I can make it into a chain adjustment thing too. It's all simple stuff. Yeah, so it's going to be a little bit of a time until I get the forks done. I'm going to take them to the guy as soon as possible, and then once they get back, I will show you how to put them back on. So we're getting closer. I'm getting excited for it. It's going to be awesome. Yeah. If you made it this far in the video, thanks for watching. Like and subscribe if you like my content. It'll be down in the bottom, ever which way it is. I don't know, maybe above me, maybe below me, somewhere. Anyway, thanks for watching. Peace. We'll see you on the next one.